So we're trend down overnight. Can everyone see the screen okay and the audio check really quick? Randy, could everyone throw me out just a quick on the Slack channel? Yeah, we're good. We're good to go. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Daniel. Okay, let's get rolling. Just real quick before we get started. Past performance is not indicative of future results, right? This is for educational purposes only. Trading derivatives has substantial risk. You can lose your ass. Know what you're doing, right? Respect your stops, right? There's a skill set to this that lets you be consistent. Learn what that skill set is and make sure that it fits your psychology, right? Otherwise, you're going to be sitting there trying to figure out this thing forever, right? From a day trading perspective, there's entry, exit, stop, and you should be able to pinpoint that entry, exit, stop on a daily basis. Okay, so let's jump in because I'm running a little bit late this morning. So first of all, when we look at the big picture, right? So this is a big picture on a very tiny bars, right? So here we go. So notice a couple of things almost immediately from this picture. Number one, this is my swing low, approximately down here, right? Okay, unless we break that swing low, which is below 28.66, there is no massive trend down, right? Secondly, that 28.65, 28.66 level, we'll pinpoint it in just a second, is a key trap. So even if you push all the way down, let's say you break it, come to 28.54, and then we trade back up to 28.68, be aware people are going to be looking for this trap at the bottom to push back to the upside, okay? There's no rule or time frame on when it can trap, how far below it has to trap. It can be one tick, it can be 10 points, right? You need to stay aware of that 28.66. Number two thing that when we look at that, we've actually started to come up and start making higher highs and higher lows. If we come down here, right, so you can tell a lot just from a little tiny picture. 1, 2, 3. So we are gapping down, right? Everyone, me included, thinks it's kind of looking bearish, right? Why can't I move this? Okay, here. Everyone thinks it's looking kind of bearish. There we go. Everyone thinks that's looking kind of bearish. Guess what? If we don't get below, hold on one second here, guys. Hey, Daniel, everything okay? Ah, thank you. Okay, there we go. I was muted. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Hey, I was muted in the meeting, guys, so I'm going to start over. I apologize. Thank you. No one could hear me. So you could hear me on YouTube, but you couldn't in the meeting. So let's start one more time. Number one, swing low, 28.66, 28.65 level. We'll get the area specifically. Number two, I'm running late, so I'm going to run through it initially, then slow down and get to our areas before the open. Number two, we broke both our swings to the left. So remember, everyone's short from overnight at this point. We've been downtrending really since the beginning of Europe, right? So what the rule is on when we come in and we're trending down overnight, and this is Dalton, mind over market, this is not my rule. You would expect inventory that's net short to be squeezed or have to completely cover off the open. If they do not get squeezed, right? If they do not get squeezed up, that adds fuel to the downside rotation, right? So we have gap down, not out of general range. So besides this 28.65 area, what's the most important in here? Clearly, the other thing you can see here, right, is that 28.75 is resistance from overnight, right? You can see that yesterday afternoon we hit that 28.75, or yesterday we pushed up off 28.75. We backside tested 28.75. So in general, I'm looking at that 28.75.50 to be resistance, and you can also see the 24-hour VWAP is up here near 28.76. 28.75 to 28.77 clearly is resistance pre-market. So you can tell all of that just from looking at that pretty easily, and you can also tell that we attempted to but failed to break over 28.84.50, right? And that basically this whole thing from here to here is our trading range, right? We tried underneath, we pushed, we tried above, we pushed. So we're in an 84 to 66 trading range. So before you get overly bearish and think we're going to zero, you got to break below this swing to the left. Next, let's go pull up our profile chart and get the important areas. Guys, I did post zones. I didn't mail out. Okay, never mind. I knew I forgot one thing last night. I'll fix that. Okay, so next. What am I looking at? First of all, yesterday's value area low, 28.78, right? Number two, remember that 74.75? There's a naked TPO volume point of control, and TPO and volume point of control, both time and volume, are sitting at 73.50 to 74.50. Remember, overnight, 75 has become that key inflection point. And you can see that we've had a TPO on both, today's Tuesday, Friday and Monday. Thursday and Friday, we had the TPO and point of control in the 73.50 to 75.25. See how, looking at it from the different perspectives, they're all adding up the same, right? That 73 to 75, if you are mega aggressive on the short side and you are right taking a stop out of the gate, you are looking for this area to be held underneath. And if you are bearish, you are looking for this shot. So what's the next thing that has to go? The next thing that has to go is this right here. That is 28.6875. If you're not trading below and holding below 28.6875, there is no extension to the downside. Next, because I'm having to go through the bear scenario instead of the bull scenario, we closed yesterday at 28.7875. That would bring up 28.5875 as a 20-point extension. Notice there's a naked point of control and a naked volume point of control. Two notes on that. These are generally strong areas to look for responsive buyers. They don't always stop the market dead in its tracks. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. So what you're looking for there are either, if you don't know how to read order flow, you're looking for bar chart patterns that tell you, hey, we've reversed in this area, or you're just managing risk in this area to try to find a reversal, or you're looking for some kind of divergence, depending on your methodology. What I am looking for at that bottom, I'm going to show you right now. Okay, so in any of these areas, how am I going to judge how I want to get the reversal? And let me be clear, we get above and hold above 28.8275, and there's a long way to run to the upside. This is very doable to the upside. Let me remind everyone. If we don't fail at that 75 area, the next test becomes value area low. You have specifically 28.8050 to 28.7875, and then 28.82. From a long perspective, you can just see the picture here. See how we have to get above? What I'd want to see is, above, backside test, maybe consolidation would be nice, and then push. That's what I want for the long side test. Hypothetically, it's the same thing we want for the short side test, except now that we have broken down that 75, 73, 75 becomes immediate overhead resistance, with this area in general becoming a stronger resistance area. Okay, so once we're in that area, what are we going to do? I'm going to reference you to yesterday. Pop this out. Oh, I got to be on the right chart. Oh, and guys in the room, just specifically the one timing to the downside on the half-hour time frame, if you're looking for a reversal, right? Just to be clear what the rules are, we've had multiple times where it's provided monster trades, right? I'm going to show you this example really quick. How am I doing on time? Damn, I'm sorry I was so late this morning. Okay, notice one timing to the upside. See that? One timing ends on this. Here, I'm going to erase all these lines. We'll go back through and do them in a second. One timing ends. Notice that on both the short and the long, you pull your 50-60, you come back into your 50-60 retrace, you've got a short, right? Notice over here, one timing, these are half-hour time frame bars. You end your one timing right here. Oops. And this is a great example because, yes, you got run over on your 50-60 retrace. This is the difference between being a day trader and a swing trader. The swing trader who, say, bought options right here, even though we broke the low, had a monster payout when we reversed back up to the highs, right? I believe Peter had a double on this particular trade. The futures trader, you're going to have to look at order flow to get your setup, and you have to be willing to take this trade twice. Obviously, the normal stop is below the swing low, but once we trap back in on this M period here, you can see it was just a rip to the upside. But you need to be keenly aware of when we stop one time into the upside that you have a really nice trade and possible extension back to the upside on that trade. Now let's get over to our order flow. Okay, so pre-market, right now, before I get started, so we know where we're at. Okay, 24-hour VWAP, 28.7650. Okay, you need to be keenly aware of the rule, right? If we do not squeeze out short inventory, clearly people are short thinking we're going to continue lower, right? If we do not squeeze them out of the gate and drive them up, be very, very, very aware that adds fuel to the downside fire, right? You would expect this to push into 75.50, 77. And if we don't break that, right, you do not disturb the overnight short inventory, and those guys get even more confident. Overnight, when I look at my inventory, hold on, I need to pull up my other system. ES. I have a 2481. Where is he? There you go. This guy right here is your over, under, and he took place at 7 o'clock. Okay. So you have two areas. Okay. This guy has to be held below. Okay. This guy has to be held below. And the inverse is true too. If we push above him, this guy, unless we form a bigger delta right out of the gate, that guy's going to be used for backside support. So what do I want to do? I want to see it. If I'm going to short, right, I want to see it push underneath, backside test, and roll lower. There's a caveat to this little trick here, right? If I'm trading in the first 30 minutes, I accept if I'm using a 2-point stop here, I may either have to take the trade twice. My likelihood of getting stopped out in the first 30 minutes using this methodology increases dramatically. The win rate goes from 60 to 70% to about 55% of the time. You'll experience a stop, right? Why? Everyone is shoving volume right through there, right off the open and in the first 30 minutes. And that's the game. That's how it works. There's 2 ways to handle that. 3 ways. Trade full size and accept the risk. Trade half size so that you don't crush your day for the rest of the day. Or the easiest way, skip the first half hour. There should be a boatload of opportunities today. But this is our first key area, 75, this 75 to 77 area where that VWAP is. That's your next resistance. Remember, once you get up here, you either need a bigger delta on top to take the pressure off of this guy, or else expect him to defend the first time back down. And then once we get underneath him, you're hoping for a backside test so you can get the push lower. Okay. Now, that being said, what are we looking for? Look at our trade from yesterday. Wow, I have this thing really not cleaned up. Okay, let's fix it. Okay. Remember, I missed this trade yesterday morning. Am I on the right date? Nope. Sorry, too many days stuffed in here. Chart settings. Fix this. 5. Okay, this will take a second. There we are. That should be yesterday, correct? There we go. Yesterday morning, right, to give you the same example, what worked? Okay, so after we opened, here's the open back over here. Gosh, I wanted to try to get a trade off early in the morning. Don't know that I'm going to be able to do that. Okay, there's the open, right? Watch the sequence. 1561, right? Push up, push up, push up. Notice after we get that 1561, I think pre-market we had a bigger delta is what the deal was. We did not. It went from 1203 to 1561, okay? See, we push up into 1345, right? Here's our last momentum push to the upside. That's the algo firing. Here's the first close underneath. Close underneath, point of control underneath. See how that bar became important? Okay, backside test break. And then we had to break underneath the 1521. If you look at the 1521, why the heck? There we go. Sorry I'm going so fast, guys. I want to switch over as quickly as I can. See the backside test? That is what we are looking for this morning. Okay, that is what we're looking for this morning for the push to the downside off that same big delta. See how the first time it just rejected without giving any heat? Second time it went 2 ticks behind and then rolled down. Sometimes you have to be willing to reload that trade twice. Notice on this push, we got the star indicating a momentum attempt to the upside, closed underneath, right, which set up another backside test of this bar for a roll to the downside. That was repeated. And then if you look at the low, which I'm going to squeeze all the way over here to 11, there is no time frame on the low, right? remember where I screwed up yesterday, right, was I was trying to take that bar. What I was assuming off of this bar was that we would get this formation, meaning the very next bar would be a 1,000 delta. I didn't get it. I got stopped on half size for just a few ticks. I attempted it again without waiting for the setup, another stop for a few ticks, right? And then finally I got it right. I entered half my trade here, half my trade here, right? And then we exited. I forget what our exit was, but that's how we got that rip, and realized it took almost 2 hours to get to the peak of that rotation. And I lost focus because I didn't recognize when we were at 82, 83. I would have dumped that whole thing right there. I didn't. I ended up closing out, I think, at 81 or 80, 75. I thought we could push and break to the upside, and we did overnight. Okay. That is breaking down what we are looking for, and I got it done right before the open. That is exactly what we're looking for, guys. At the bottom, big delta divergences, 1,000 bars, 1,000 deltas closing above those delta divergences. Entry at the top, entry at the 50-60 back at the top of the bar, stop below, push up. Your RR is about 3 or 4 to 1 quite often on that trade when we get them off the open. So let's jump over to the open because I'm not going to spend any more time on that. We already know what we're looking for from a key area, right? I'm going to split the screen here so we can see the chart and this. There we go. And let's get to work. So number one, what are we expecting? We expect them to test some areas. So our areas here that are important, to erase all lines and get started. Boop, boop. Done. I got to color these so I know what they are instantly. Pink, color, pink, yellow, yellow. Okay, notice we haven't pushed up into that 73, 73.50 yet. And that gives me a pretty good picture. And then below, doink, doink. And then our swing low, which is it that Monday? Yep. Okay, there we go. Not uncommon to make it look like they're going to break that swing low, tap it, and then reverse and swing all the way back up. So I don't know what's driving the market. I don't even care at this particular point. What I do care about if I get about 28.83 is the rip. And if we can't make it below this value area low, which I expect it to tap it and get an initial response out of the gate. Okay, that being said, where's our big boy right there? There it is. Dun, 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 dun. We have now closed. You're looking for, there's your close below, right? If you wanted to be mega aggressive on the short, 28.71, stop 28.73, right? And you may have to 2-tick run it in front. You see how we closed underneath, first point of control underneath? That's what opens us up to the downside. And I may have already missed it. It may have been a first-minute thing, right? So it already opened and went, it would appear. So that's where I would target is at 28.71. So now the sequence goes 71, 73, 75, 77, right? And with this being the pivot point, and that's a big delta pre-market, right? So we're looking for that delta to get replaced. Delta's negative 24K, cumulative delta's negative 24K. That often is what it looks like when we're in trend day down. Again, notice none of this inventory is being threatened by this open so far. No one is motivated to short cover this, right? I want to repeat, no one is motivated to short cover this yet. Okay, so keep that in mind. And then let's look at NQ really quick. Hold on one second. Is it possible that I did not? No, I'm correct. One second here. And ES is, and NQ is below yesterday's low, but above Friday's low. I need to fix that really quick. Friday's low. But it sure is trying to go lower, and it's been the weak, NQ has been the weak link by miles in this deal. Not like slightly, hugely weak link. So I'd keep an eye on it, and it just has not been very productive to the upside. Hold on one second. I gotta get my trading domes up really quick. I am missing a trading dome. I don't know why. Hold on a second. File, duplicate chart. New instance. So they are obviously pushing down at this point, and it looks like I missed a potential open drive lower. You had 2 seconds to make that decision, so we should get other opportunities through here somewhere today. And on NQ, your big delta pre-market is at 485 that we're testing against right now. For those who are watching NQ, that's what has to be gotten above. And again, this backside test at the 71.73, this is critical right here. Give me just 1 second. And they're still probing the bottom of those lows on NQ. See if they can push a reversal off of that. And then let me see where my charts are. Hold on 1 second. NQ's down. ES is down 11. NQ down 43. So we have not tested those lows yet. They're trying. Remember, no one's threatened at this point unless you get above that 25.64. No short is even remotely threatened, and VWAP, right? That's why people keep stepping in. You have people obviously trying to buy off the open, is what the response is. They're going to have to make some serious progress to get that thing going. They're trying on NQ. Which is good. At least it's just not falling straight out of bed. So this is back up into that 28.70 to 72 area. That's where you have your 2-point stop if you want it. Remember, it's a gap down, and it's a gap down right into the lows, right? So we're going to have to see if they respond. Inventory is short. There's no question about that, right? See how it pushed in and held? So if you wanted the short, that was your location. That's your entry, exit, stop. Pretty straightforward, right? See that? There's your 71. There's your 69 already. You should have a scale if you took that. And obviously, 7,400. We're already 30 points off the low on NQ. Keep that in mind. And remember, Apple's deal comes out tomorrow, right? So you're going to have people that are going to be like, "Oh, I got to cover in front of Apple's deal." And again, I think the first half hour is the hardest time of the day to trade. I think you close to open drive higher, actually. So weird. Yesterday you couldn't get it to lift at all, but we're above the first 5-minute high on that. Keep that in mind. You can't trend down when you're over that 5-minute bar, first 5-minute bar, right? So keep that in mind. Let me show you what I'm talking about. See that right there? That's the open on NQ, straight up, right? Everyone was short inventory, they're squeezing it out. That's normal. Okay, it's not abnormal, totally normal. Right into VWAP on NQ. That is beautiful how they just destroyed the shorts. 40 points off the low from the open. We're above the biggest delta, guys. Just be aware, right? So we rejected. Look, it came in, rejected. We're right into it. As long and if you're shorting here, right, you got to assume with the way NQ is running, they're going to make a run to VWAP, right? NQ is completely reversing, right? That is a move on NQ. Let me show you this. You don't have to look. Just go look at your chart. We were trading 74.04, I think is the low. Just a few minutes, 3 minutes into the open, 74.04. We're trading 74.50, right? So there's nothing wrong with shorting up here. That's fine, right? Just realize that NQ is getting squeezed pretty damn hard right out of the gate. I would expect that VWAP to get tested. At this point, based purely on what NQ is doing. That is pretty much, wow, nice shakedown. You'd have thought that would have been an easy roll to the downside. So 2 potential trades, and we're heading right up for not even the first hour yet. So let's see what they do after they shake them out. We probably have a much easier time after the first 30 minutes, as usual. Let's just get the first trade set up. If you were aggressive, again, you've gotten paid pretty nicely already this morning. Close below, right? Close below, backside test, point of control below, backside test. Third punch in, right? Now we're getting above, and we haven't formed a bigger delta, right? Coming up to VWAP would be a natural point of rejection, except that I'd point out that NQ is all the way back to 74.55, right? And if you look at its chart, like it's ripping. There's no question about it. Shorts have been trapped on that thing. And Apple's deals tomorrow. That's no shock. NQ's down 6 points. So whoever was selling it, and for whatever reason they were selling it, watch out shorts. Give me just a second, guys. I'll be right back. So now we haven't formed a larger delta, right? First close above your biggest delta. Backside test into this area, right? As long as it holds, if you're looking for the long, now we flip the story. Same location. We haven't increased the delta. Either way, this becomes your support. Remember, you're still inside the first half hour, so noise is acceptable and would be anticipated. Wow, that was a beautiful reversal in NQ. And I did not see it or get it set up. Caution on the shorts is all I can say until we get another setup. Let me see where we are on the profile. Push below value area, right? Push below, trap back in, back to the point control, 73.75. This is where we had the issues overnight, right? We'll see if they can drive them back up. This 28.76, if this busts, this is your next level. There's nothing here on the profile, on the order flow that tells me to short this. As a matter of fact, it looks like a pretty good bottom from an NQ perspective. That's $1,000 a contract, $1,200 a contract off the low. Rejection off. Again, not a big rejection, and all your big deltas are underneath. I want to see a big delta print up here and get underneath if I'm going to be short. I don't want, right now, I have to be underneath 71 to even remotely consider the short. And the backside test of this is long first time, if they give us a chance even. All I got to say is look at the reversal on NQ is only down 3 points on the day, right? We pretty much, I missed that reversal. It's all right. It's the price I'm not. First half hour is just tough, right? So right now, this is my long location. And again, it's still the first 30 minutes, guys. Plenty of time. New highs, NQ. New highs, ES. Damn. Shake and bake. Just patience. They'll set us up. And if they don't, you already got your shorts. They didn't work, right? Or they worked, right? You got your scales, but this is not where you press your short until you get a new setup up here, guys. Look where we are in the profile, right? We're one timing to the upside effectively right now. Look at the A time frame, right? Your clear target is now back into yesterday's range. We got to get below 73.50 from a day time frame profile, right? That anomaly, we filled the gap, but now you want to see it underneath 73.50. And notice that right underneath that 73.50, that's where that big giant delta is lining up, right? You think it won't be defended the first time? Look what they did from underneath, right? That was a beautiful shakeout on NQ. And I bet almost all of that move on Apple was on Apple. If you look at Apple, I bet it went straight up. It's so heavily weighted that it just dragged all those shorts out with them. Now let's see if after we get the squeeze, what we do now, how we set it up. I'm looking for a long after 9 a.m. Hopefully they push into this area, into the 71, 72 area, if they'll give it, right? Realize the risk here of taking the trade is I'm going to get all this noise from VWAP, right? Look at that. Not a shot in heck. They've got them all squeezed. Damn. Caution on the short side, guys. They've got them. This is open drive higher. Assume open drive higher. Interesting. What's interesting here is look at the delta is not lifting. That's very, very bizarre. You would expect cumulative delta to go with it, but it's not. We're coming up to that 28.78. I can't believe we just ripped like that. I just did not have. I didn't have an entry. I'm going back to see if I missed anything. Dun, dun, dun. Bill, did I miss anything? I don't think I did. Dun, 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 dun. Into VWAP, rejection. This is still my biggest guy. Last push up. No momentum push down. They just face ripped it. Sometimes you don't get it. That's all. There's nothing to say about that. Anyone have any thoughts on the delta being so cumulative delta being so negative on that drive up? Is that just pure short squeeze out off the gate? Right now, we can't get a rotation down on NQ at all. VWAP is the obvious location where people will be looking to try to get long, and we have a huge delta sitting right there in NQ and ES. If it clears above that VWAP, I would expect it to be gone. I don't have an entry. I'm not going to chase it up, right? But that's a pretty impressive open to start with. So let's go through our checklist, right? It's 9 a.m. Let's get situated on where we are. It appears to be open drive higher despite the cumulative delta being negative, which is just weird. but that's all right. Okay. Number two, if we look at our chart, okay. Damn, I can't believe that. Right out of the gate above the first 5 minutes. So what saved us? So the short locations were good, right? Closed above the first 5 minute high, right? That area, that 2871, is now going to be a pivot area. There's NQ on the right. Here's ES, right? Obviously, gap fill. NQ's already achieved gap fill. ES is not, nor is it punched back above Monday's low, right? So we got to get some. Oh, you can't see this. Why can't you see this? There you go. Here we are. So look, get situated again, right? Because it can be frustrating to get an open like this. Open drive higher. First thing you want to ask. So it's really bullish if we can't get back below Monday's low. There's a couple of things in there if you're trading in key, right? Notice I said you had to get below the swing lows. We didn't get below the swing lows. They tested right to it, and I said it's very common to shake everyone out and then drive them. That's going to be treated as a double bottom. All the shorts got swung out or ripped out, right? 7402 to 7460. Basically, what? $1,200 a contract in rip, right? Number two, and ES, right? We're not below last week's low. So I was saying it's not bearish if you don't get below there in general and you've held, right? This is as trend up as it gets off the open. That formation right there, I would want to see an impulse move to the downside before getting bearish. You don't think it can just bottom like that and go straight up all day? It can. See, we have a driver. Apple's product introduction. ES has been generally stronger than NQ. If you look at the roll down, ES is barely down. It's just a sneeze away, right? We're at 2876. All-time high is what, 2919? 50 points, I think. Not even, right? 30 plus another 19, 50 points. That's correct. Will get us to a new high, right? That's pretty easily achievable. We're trapping back into Monday's low. And everyone who got bearish, remember the profile picture? This is what we were trying to get the market to do yesterday, and we couldn't. Why am I not seeing this? There we go. Okay, balloon underwater, value shifted higher. So this is resistance right now, right? We got to work our way through resistance on this, but we did not pierce this 9.7 low, right? And we have not established below the value area low from 9.7 either. We tested underneath, held, trapped back in, and we've traveled right back up to the next value area low. If I sound frustrated, I am, because I've been trying to catch this long for a week, and I have no position now. Like, we're already up well off the lows. And if I could have found a way to get long down here, which I couldn't, right? There's nothing to be upset about outside of just guessing that that's what it was going to do. My process had me getting long on a close above 28.72, backside test, have it hold, and then push to the upside. So it just didn't set up. It's inside the first half hour. It's just frustrating that we get the reversal right out the gate. And NQ is showing zero weakness. I'm pretty sure it's up on the day if we go look. NQ's up 2 points on the day. ES is down 3 points. So where does that put us all? Where that puts us is overnight, Europe decided to be weak off of some news that came out of Europe that had nothing to do. By the way, okay, so I have two different – I hate this. I have two different systems and two different deltas. Does anyone else have a 3056 on top? Bill, anyone? Daniel, do you have on ES? Do you have a 3056 on top on a 6 range? Because I have a new high delta at the high on CME data feed, but not on my Sierra chart data feed. It's really frustrating that this doesn't even make sense. Hold on a second here. Oh, here we go. I see what the problem is. I moved it. There we go. Okay. New biggest delta, new over under, of course. So guys, sorry guys on YouTube. I didn't blow it. I just didn't get my long set up. The shorts were fine. Longs, zip. That's your over-under now. That's what you have to get over-under on NQ. Your biggest bar on top. You have to get back underneath now. I'm going to have to redraw that whole chart. $74.61. Again, I follow process. Process didn't give me a setup to the long side. I've gone back and looked at it on two different charts twice. This was as close as we had to a setup right there, right? Up, over, backside test. I guess I missed a delta divergence, but even then it wasn't a 1K delta divergence. And that didn't trigger. So see this here? If we had – cool. Good idea, Peter. So see this right here? So normally, Randy, when you were asking yesterday, that's normally our process. See how that came so far away that if you took that bar, see how it was likely to close underneath it, right? So you had to know that this was your highest odds location on that backside test. And there's only two ways to work this out, right? If you bought this here, that's 28.71. That put your stop at 28.66, 4 points, which isn't outrageous, right? So that's why I always suggest do the half and half. Take it half here in case it just takes off. Load up the second half over here. Or if you're a small trader, you got to wait till you're back here. That's all you can do. And that goes back to yesterday, that same trade. Here, I'll show you yesterday afternoon, right? So the delta divergence was perfect. That 29.13 was huge, right? But see this backside test right over here? So this is the bar you closed on, right? But again, if you use the 2-point stop, right back to backside test that delta divergence, it's just what ES does. It does take off sometimes without you, right? But you'll see we backside test that same area, not once, but twice. Once right on the close, but immediately backside test. That backside test from 78, right? So remember, I took the first one at 79.75, second at 78, gave me an average of 78.75 for 82.50. That's a 4-point trade, right? That's the identical setup off the low today. I might need to go back into my trade plan and adjust for fast opens to allow for less than a 900 delta divergence, right? And a backside test. But that was a good, obviously long setup. It was wise not to be willing. So all those people who don't know how to read order flow, they all short, oh, there's VWAP. I'm going to short it, right? Initial rejection, you all got stopped, right? So what does that tell you? That tells you that the order flow is more important than VWAP or a line in the sand, right? Because it's telling you exactly where you've got to push from. What's the frustration with trading a particular method? I said backside test after 9 o'clock, I'm probably long right here, right? I don't get the setup, new bigger delta, we close above, no backside test, animal spirits are in control, NQ is running, up 15, and that's that. Very frustrating. Not horribly, but very frustrating. Another huge delta on top on ES, 34.19. Again, those are what has to be gotten below. It'll settle down eventually, right? If you're looking to shorter, you think this is all just a head fake. We're still down a point on the day on ES, right? That's what has to be gotten underneath. So the process is close underneath, backside test, stop right above, and now you're looking for a test back into VWAP. Remember, this guy is likely to get defended, and this guy is likely to get defended. Both of these, even though they're smaller deltas, you still have to anticipate the counter rotation even if you're not trading off of them, right? And certainly you want to keep an eye towards NQ, right? NQ's been the heaviest market that we trade, right? People just got annihilated for the second time in 3 days. Remember Friday morning, early shorts got crushed. This morning, early shorts got crushed. Okay, so anyone who tells you, let's say this market ends up on NQ going down another 200 points, anyone tells you, yeah, I shorted the whole way down, I was king, very, very hard to pull off a swing short, even in a bear market, and we're not even remotely close to a bear market, in my opinion. So this is what has to be gotten underneath if you're following process, is 34.19. And if I sound like I got a little flustered, I'm frustrated. Just for those who don't know, my house got flooded. I had to move. That second house got flooded. I had to move again. and my drive is almost triple right now with rush hour traffic than what it was. I got here late, and I don't think I would have had the long in ES. I might have in NQ. ES just didn't set up long for me via my process, and I'm not happy about that. There's nothing I can do about it. It's my process, right? You either have it or you either follow a process or you don't. My process needed a backside test right here to capture this next leg up, and they just didn't give it to me. The other way I could have done that, which I've already put in my notes, is I could have simply bought this backside half, stop, and I still would have caught that, but we'd already run up off the low almost 10 points, right? So we were 67. We already rolled up to 73, 75. It's pretty hard just to grab that. So anyways, that's that. We'll just see how it sets up. Getting below that 34.19 is a minimum requirement for shorts. And like I said, I'd like to be long. I don't have a long setup, so hoping it pulls down. Wow, look at the cumulative delta divergence is just massive here. It's just crazy that we're getting that kind of that the delta. Does anyone else have that negative delta? I see the new high delta. I'm with you, but are you still negative 20,000 on it, Bill? Anyways, nothing to do. I've completely this is what I was trying to get executed yesterday afternoon. I was one day early. It was profitable, but it just wasn't this profitable. Guys on YouTube, I appreciate y'all joining this morning. I don't have anything else to add. We're up. That's open drive higher on NQ. You got to get below this guy right here, and then you got to get below VWAP to have any downside move. And I don't just short randomly. So think about how small these bars are. These are 1.5 range bars, and you can't get below the prior 1.5 range bar, right? You don't want to be short this environment. I don't care how bearish you are, right? That's a up. I'm begging for a rotation down to get long, and everyone else is too. So I've got to follow my process. I don't have a way of getting long. This is now, we've now switched up again to these big deltas. The cumulative delta divergence is concerning, but that can take a long time to play out. So just be aware of that. And I suggest you wait for it to play out because NQ is right back to 74, 77. Got it. Well, this isn't budging at all, Bill. Like it hasn't budged like hardly at all. I understand it's math, but this thing really needs to pick up. If this stays negative all day, it would not be a great sign. It would just mean that we're just short squeezing into the Apple deal and we roll right back over. Like that really should have flown positive pretty quickly. I'll show you past examples if you want, but this long into this move, we should be close to zero. I know it's math, but we should be getting enough strong deltas. Are you telling me we accumulated so much delta down here that we can't lift that significantly from there? but we're still parked under 20K. I'm all right if you are. I'm just asking you. So we know where our bogey is, guys. That's what has to be gotten underneath. If you're looking short, right, you need to really see some kind of rotation down to see some weakness. Again, I'm concerned about this number in general. It doesn't mean short, right? We still follow the process, but this should get positive, and it hasn't. It's actually fallen off pretty quickly here. What a squeeze in I'd be very surprised to see them let them roll it down on NQ with Apple tomorrow. So, anyways, thank y'all for joining on YouTube. I apologize. I didn't pull it together quick enough this morning. We will be back tomorrow morning. It just didn't, actually, I'll take that back. We did pull it together quick enough. We just didn't get the read that we needed to get long, and we avoided getting run over short, which is great, right? The short locations were perfect. Almost no heat on them for if you want to trade in the first half hour. I just haven't gotten set up in the second half hour. And realistically, with the way this is rolling out, we may not get set up till 10:30. So talk to you on a bit. And have a great day. Trade safe. Don't get run over, guys.